Welcome back to From the Bench, everybody. As always, it's Eric, and today we're going to go through the top 20 young guns in the brand new 2023-24 Series 1 hockey that gets released tomorrow, Wednesday, October 18th. If you guys aren't familiar with the product and what I do on release day 2, I will be having a first look video first thing on Wednesday, October 18th, going through the brand new configuration. It used to be 24 packs per box. Now it's going to be 12 packs per box. Still going to get 6 young guns per hobby box. And we're always used to the hobby exclusives, clear cut and exclusives out of 100 and high gloss out of 10. But now this year they're debuting along with the brand new pack configuration and everything else in these hobby boxes. We're going to have brand new Outburst Silver, which is essentially like a silver in Prism or Optic Hollow or whatever, the Panini products that you see for football and basketball and stuff. Also going to have a deluxe at a 250, a Outburst Red, which is going to be at a 25, and for the first time ever, we're going to have one of one young guns and other cards in here with the Outburst Gold. So once again, I'm going to go through all that in the first look video on release day, first thing on that day, and then through the entire next week. I'll have essentially opening up a case between mine and my friends' cards and boxes and stuff. So lots of these boxes going to be opened up for all these young guns for you guys to kind of take a look at. So going to get into it. Once again, there's 50 young guns in a checklist. I took the top 20 out of that list. And I'm going to go through them by their card number and we'll go down through the list. So first off, card number 201 is Matthew Coronado for the Calgary Flames. He is a 2021 13th overall right winger from Green Lawn, New York. Yes, they're very proud of their lawns down there. 5'10", 183 pounds. He's 20 years old, turning 21 on November 14th. He is in 2022-23, played for Harvard University. 34 games played, had 20 goals and 16 assists for 36 points, so just over that point per game. And that's kind of what I'm going to tell you on a lot of this stuff, guys. I'll go through kind of the player, their stats, and kind of where they've been over the last few years to give you an idea. Most of these guys, like him, he had in the NHL last year, he had 1 game played. You're going to see that a lot for a lot of these guys. That's what you see typically in Series 1. It's a lot of guys that the year before, at the end of the year, the teams kind of just bring up guys after they're done, university. Their AHL team's eliminated. Maybe their Q team or OHL team or WHL team's done. Overseas, maybe their league's done. Who knows? But they'll bring them over for a cup of coffee or a sip of coffee in some of these guys' scenarios. So once again, 1 game played last year, 0 points. Did make the big club this year. So he is with the Calgary Flames to start the 2023-24 season. He has 3 games played. So he's played in all 3 games. 1 goal, 0 assists. All of these stats are as of last night when you guys are watching this. So I made sure to record this. So when you guys are watching this, these are other stats for so far this year. Matthew Coronado, right winger, a lot of upside. A lot of guys have him pretty highly graded for this set and where he kind of fits in. So next up, number 204, probably my favorite goalie prospect out of this, Yaroslav Askarov for the Nashville Predators, 2020 11th overall pick. I did not stutter. 11th overall. If you guys know hockey and drafts and how they work, goalies never get drafted in the first round, let alone in the first half of the first round. You very rarely see it. It happened with him. That's how highly touted he was coming into the draft. 6'3", 178 pound, 21-year-old. Last year in 2022-23, he played for the Milwaukee Admirals in the AHL. Had 48 games played, 2.69 goals against average, 0.911 save percentage, and 3 shutouts. He went 26, 16, and 5. Came up and played 1 game. Once again, gonna see a lot of this for the Nashville Predators last year. In that 1 game, he let up 4 goals on 35 shots and had an 886 save percentage. The Predators were not good last year. It just is what it is. In the AHL this year is where he started, and I'll get into that in a second. He's got 1 game played, 1 goal against, and has a 952 save percentage. I like Askarov. I like him a lot. I think he has a really bright future in the NHL. The problem right now is the Nashville Predators have UC Saros as their starting goaltender. So unless something big happens with UC Saros in an injury, or if he gets traded, I don't see a whole lot of chances for Askarov to really take the reins this year and see his prices kind of go up and skyrocket. He is the poster child for this product, though. Like when you look up the checklist and stuff on everywhere and all the promo for the young gun, Yaroslav Askarov is the guy you'll see on those pictures of those young guns. So once again, lots of upside. I think he's going to be a really good goalie for years to come. I just worry he might not have the chance to really show it off this year in 2023, 2024. Next up, William Defor, number 206 in the checklist for the New York Islanders. Going kind of the opposite end of this. Last one was 11th overall. William Defor was a 2020 152nd overall in the 5th round. 6'3", though, 212 pounds, 21 years old. He kind of had a breakout season his last year in the Q. The year before he got injured and put up a decent amount of points, but it was kind of a shortened season for him. 2021-22 for the St. John Sea Dogs, he had 66 games played. He had 56 goals and 60 assists for 116 points. That is a lot of points. Like I said, that was his most by far in any season he had in the Q. AHL Bridgeport is where he played in 22-23. 69 games played, 21 goals, 27 assists for 48 points, and 51 penalty minutes. Big boy, throwing the body around, getting some penalties though. But 48 points in 69 games. I say it all the time. If you guys listen to me on this, as soon as these kids go up to the AHL, they're able to put up points like that. That's pretty impressive because you don't get a ton of guys scoring a bunch of points in the AHL typically. So that's kind of why these guys obviously made the top 20. It's because of reasons like this. He played one game last year in the NHL for the Islanders, and in that one game, he had 0 points. A lot of these guys also, once again, get one game played, they're probably not going on that first line. They're probably going in the bottom 6 just to get, they can check out the dressing room, see what it's like, all that other stuff, see what a game in the big leagues is about, but typically not getting a ton of chances. 2023-24, he's been sent down to the AHL again, where once again he had a pretty good season last year. But so far in 2 games, he has 0 points for the Bridgeport Islanders. So keep an eye on that going forward. This guy has got a spot near and dear to my heart. He was the captain for my Moncton Wildcats. Was going to lead us to a Memorial Cup before the world got turned upside down. But it is Jacob Pelche, number 208 in the checklist for the Calgary Flames. 2019, 26th overall, 5'9", 170 pounds. He's 22 years old. The unfortunate thing about Jacob Pelche right now, which might be fortunate for me for his cards, he is out for the next few months after shoulder surgery. Took a hit in the preseason and just on the boards and everything else, and had to go for surgery. Obviously in a lot of these hockey things, they just tell you it's an upper body injury. He went for surgery. I don't really tell you what it was. But just to give you a little history on him, other than being an awesome captain for the Moncton Wildcats, and then went to Val-d'Or and everything else. 2021 in the AHL, he had 66 games played, 27 goals, 35 assists for 62 points. So that was his first year in the AHL, puts up pretty much a point per game. It's again pretty impressive. In the playoffs that year, though, 13 games played, only had 4 goals, 3 assists for 7 points. So went from a point per game in the regular season to half a point in the playoffs. Not really what you want to see. But in 2022-23, he played 35 games back in the AHL again. 16 goals, 21 assists for 37 points. Let's get back to that point per game. And this year in the playoffs, he put up in 9 games, 4 goals, 6 assists for 10 points. Once again, what you want to see. Had all the stuff with Sutter, the coach for the Calgary Flames last year, like most people over there. I like the guy's old school mentality for a lot of stuff, but just the way he treats some rookies, like they had a thing about him. They asked, what did you think about Pelche's play today? And he said, "Oh, what number is he again?" Like, you're just putting down a kid. Like, what is the point of that? The kid just is playing the NHL. He's excited. And you're what number is he again? Oh yeah, he had 12 minutes and it's just that stuff annoying. Maybe it's because I'm a homer. That's possibly it. But last year in the NHL, 24 games played, 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points. I really thought he was going to have a big year this year, kind of getting the chance to really flourish on a new system and stuff. But I guess that'll be delayed for a few months, probably Christmas or after Christmas. He'll get a chance to come back into the lineup. Next up, Calgary Flames. We're 5 guys in here, and we're talking about our third Calgary Flame. It is Dustin Wolf, goalie out of Gilroy, California. Another one of these guys, 2019 7th round. So we went from Askarov being 11th overall. This guy was the 214th overall pick. 6 foot tall, 166 pounds. He's 22 years old. 2021-22, played in the AHL. 47 games played, 2.35 goals against average. 33, 9 and 4 was his record. 924 save percentage. Big thing though is next year he came back, 22-23 in the AHL, had 55 games played, 2.09 goals against average, went 42, 10 and 2, and went 932 save percentage with 7 shutouts. So you saw his numbers get better, which is kind of what you want to see, especially when you're getting the big leagues, you're getting the AHL and stuff. You want to see their stats improve as they go through all this. And you saw that with him. He played 1 game in the NHL last year. Let's get a lot of that in here. 1 goal against, 24 shots against, and had a .958 save percentage. So look at that. He had the better save. Drafted in the 7th round compared to Askarov's, first round, and he had the better stats in that 1 game. So 23-24, he does have 1 game played, 2 goals against, on 30 shots. .933 save percentage. I believe that's down the AHL, so he's back down there. That's the one problem I have with him. And like Askarov, like I said, when you're prospecting this stuff, Dustin Wolf has a high chance of being good in the future, even though he's undersized. But Jacob Markstrom's there. That's my issue with this. You have a good goalie there kind of blocking the way. So have to see what happens with him. But Dustin Wolf there, at number 210. Number 212, Ridley Greig, for the Ottawa Senators. He's a center out of Lethbridge, Alberta. 2020, 28th overall, so he does just get into that first round draft status. 6 foot tall, 183 pounds, and 21 years old. 2022-23 played in the AHL. He had 39 games played, 15 goals, 14 assists for 29 points, and 46 penalty minutes. Once again, getting up there a little bit in the penalty minutes. In the NHL, he played in 20 games last year, so he's got one of the bigger resumes as of last year for the NHL. He had 2 goals and 7 assists for 9 points and 12 penalty minutes. This is a guy that a lot of guys are pretty high on. I'll talk about him in a second, though. This year, he did make the big club again, so he's in the NHL right from the get-go. 3 games played so far this year. No goals, but does have 2 assists for 2 points. I say it all the time. You get in some of these teams. Ottawa, you have Stützle, you have Sanderson, you have Brady Tkachuk, you have Josh Norris, all these guys. There's a lot of guys there. How many dollars are available, for the hobby love? It's just keep that in mind when you're getting to some of these guys and you're trying to really prospect them. I see it all the time with Colorado. The dollars can only go so many ways in some of these places. It is a Canadian team, so maybe he can make it work. But like I said, Ridley Greig, a lot of guys are really high on him. Think pretty. I hear a lot about him. He's rated like an A prospect for this draft, for this young gun set and everything else. So see what he can do for the entire year. Next up, 213, Will Cully for the New York Rangers. He is a left winger out of Toronto, Ontario. Bit of a goal scorer here. 2020 second round, 60th overall. So just got into that second round. 6'3", 210 pounds, and 21 years old. In the AHL in 22-23, the man put up in 69 games, 25 goals, 20 assists for 45 points. with 59 penalty minutes. Playoffs, he put up 3 points in 9 games, though, so definitely kind of dropped down a little bit in the playoffs. NHL, he got into 4 games last year for the Rangers, 0 points, and had 10 penalty minutes. Maybe there was a fight in there. I'm not sure. I didn't look at the whole penalty minutes. But he did have 4 games, no points, though. And so far, he did make, once again, the big club. He's in the NHL. 3 games played so far this year, and has 1 goal, no assists. So he's got a shot at the big club. He is a left winger, so he's part of that Laffy problem, right? He's going to probably play bottom 6 minutes. See what happens there. But Will Cully is number 213 in the checklist. Next up, Owen Beck, one of the youngest guys on this list for the Montreal Canadiens. He is a center out of Peterborough, Ontario. 2020 second round pick, 33rd overall, so just missed that first round draft status. 6 feet tall, 190 pounds for the 19-year-old. Played for 2 different teams last year in the OHL. So no, he didn't make the AHL. It's one of those rules. You got to be a certain age to play in the AHL. He does not meet that. So in the OHL, he played for Mississauga and then later got traded to Peterborough. In overall, he had 60 games total in the OHL last year, 24 goals, 42 assists for 66 points. And in the playoffs, put up in 22 games, 8 goals, 8 assists for 16 points. One kind of thing that you got to look at here, Mississauga is where he was at the start of the season with last year. He had 41 points in 30 games, so that means he only had 25 points in 30 games to finish the year. Kind of what happened there. Obviously, once again, dropped off a little bit in the playoffs too. He had 1 NHL game where he had 0 points last year. Once again, it's a reoccurring thing here. He did get sent back down to Peterborough in the OHL this year. And he's kind of started off slow. 4 games so far for the Peterborough Petes. 1 goal, 0 assists. So kind of wonder what's going on there. Maybe just trying to get acclimated back to everything since, he was in NHL training camp. Kind of saw that locally with one of the guys with the Moncton Wildcats, Etienne Morin. He's kind of started off a little slow, but see what happens with Owen Beck. But he's definitely the youngest guy on this list. And does play for a massive market in Montreal, so I'm sure people will be chasing his cards with speculation. Another guy though, Cole Caulfield, Yaroslav Askarov, Nick Suzuki, Wi-Fi, Caden Gooley, list goes on. Just keep an eye on that stuff. Next up, number 215, Brock Faber for the Minnesota Wild. The hometown boy is a D-man, right shot D-man out of Maple Grove, Minnesota. 2020 second round pick, 45th overall by the LA Kings, who he then got later on traded to Minnesota Wild. He's 6'1", 200 pounds, and 21 years old. Played for the University of Minnesota, the Golden Gophers. This guy was the captain for them in 22-23. He had 38 games played, 4 goals, 23 assists for 27 points, and only 12 penalty minutes. To me, that's a big stat. Just not a whole lot of penalty minutes in 38 games for a D-man. That means he's not typically probably getting beat a whole lot, or maybe he's just letting them go. But typically, you worry about D-men getting beat all the time, being out of position, because that's when you get reaching and grabbing, and you're tripping guys and you're hooking guys and everything else. So 12 penalty minutes in 38 games to me is a good sign for that. Got up for 2 games last year in the NHL, had 0 points. In the playoffs in the AHL, got up for 6 games, had 0 points. But did make the big league, didn't go back to university. He is playing for the Minnesota Wild to start the year. And in 2 games, he's got 1 goal and 1 assist for 2 points. So he's got more points here than we got here. We got some other guys on this list that, Coronado, he's got more points than him. Doing pretty good here. I got the same amount of points Ridley Greig. Will Cully's got more points than him. He's doing pretty good for a D-man. 2 penalty minutes so far in those two games, so 1 penalty. And he has a +4. So if you're a +4 after that Toronto Maple Leafs game they played, that's pretty good. I don't know how he did it, but avoided it. But Brock Faber is there. A lot of guys are pretty high on him. Once again, probably a hometown boy thing, everything else. And just a defenseman that has some offensive upside. With the guy like Kirill Kaprizov, Matt Boldy, maybe he makes a little bit of a little bit of a spark there. So this guy might be like the 22nd young guy, but to me, we'll give him the number 20. Elliot Deno for the Philadelphia Flyers, former Moncton Wildcat, left winger out of St. Hyacinthe, Quebec. I butchered that. I'm sorry. He's a 2020 fifth rounder, 135th overall, 5'11", 183 pounds, and is only 21 years old. So I'm not picking some like 28-year-old former Moncton Wildcat. Give me a break here. Still a young guy and does have some upside. Was a Wildcat. It's going to be part of that Memorial Cup run for the Moncton Wildcats. And then a bunch of trades happen. We get Bo Grew of the Anaheim Ducks. We get Jared McIsaac of the Detroit Red Wings on that team from Halifax. And then just magically after the playoffs and after everything got shut down, that next offseason, he gets traded to Halifax randomly, super randomly. 61 games played in the queue, which is kind of his breakout year for Halifax in 2021-22. 42 goals, 46 assists for 88 points. Last year for the AHL Phantoms, 65 games played, 23 goals, 21 assists for 44 points. Once again, not just throwing this guy on for no reason. He's got some upside here. In the playoffs, though, he only had 3 games played and 1 goal, no assists for the Phantoms. Got up for 4 games with Philadelphia last year when everything was going terribly for them. And in those 4 games, he put up 0 points and was a -2. I don't tell you. Once again, a lot of these guys are getting bottom 6 minutes once they join these teams. He went back down to the AHL to start the 23-24 season for the Phantoms. 2 games played, 0 points in 5 minutes, 5 penalty minutes. Either got in a fight or he boarded someone from behind. It's one of the two. I'm not sure. Once again, probably closer to the 20th. Then definitely like the top 10. But it's Elliot Deno. I'm going to put him up for Moncton Wildcat when he's on the edge, when he's on the cusp of that. Next up, 221 in the checklist. It's Luke Evangelista for the Nashville Predators. He's a right winger out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. 2020 second round pick, 42nd overall, 6 feet tall, 183 pounds, and 21 years old. I was pretty excited about this guy going into this year. 2021-22 played for the OHL London Knights. Had 62 games played 55 goals, 56 assists for 111 points. He then put in the playoffs, kind of dropped down from almost 2 points a game in the regular season. Went down to in 7 games played, 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points. So he kind of got bottled up by whatever team they played in the playoffs. Went up to the AHL Milwaukee Admirals last year with Yaroslav Askarov. 49 games played for them, 9 goals, 32 assists, which he's pretty much even for goals and assists in the Q career. All of a sudden he drops down to 9 goals, 32 assists, becomes more of a passer randomly for 41 points. In the playoffs, put up 16 games, put up 4 goals, 11 assists for 15 points. Same thing, maybe just decided on that team he's more of a passer and more of a facilitator than a goal scorer. Went up to the NHL, though, for 24 games. Had 7 goals, 8 assists for 15 points. So now he's back on that 1-for-1 goal to assist ratio. Did make the big club out of training camp, out of the preseason. So, but so far in 3 games for the Nashville Predators this year, it's kind of guy I was pretty excited for a couple weeks ago when I first started looking at this checklist. In 3 games, he's got 0 points. So hopefully he can kind of kick it up a little bit. I think from what I've seen of the kid, he looks pretty impressive. Might just be, that, first start of the season jitters here for him with the Nashville Predators. Probably the biggest chase for this. Now, maybe long term, I don't know if he'll be the biggest chase for this product, when you look 5 years down the road. But definitely right now, he is. It is number 222 in the checklist. It is Matthew Knies for the Toronto Maple Leafs, left winger out of Phoenix, Arizona. 2021 second round pick, 57th overall. He is 6'3", 217 pounds, big boy. And today is his birthday. So happy birthday. Anyways, well, you guys get it. Matthew Nyes is another Golden Gopher at the University of Minnesota. That's where he played in 2022-23. 40 games played, 21 goals, 21 assists for 42 points. So once again, he's on that same, 1 goal, 1 assist kind of ratio. Got up in the NHL for the regular season last year for 3 games at the end of the year. Had 1 assist. Then played in 7 playoff games. Had 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points. So he kind of got a little bit into that whole making it to the second round process for the Maple Leafs. This year, he made the big club. He's with the Toronto Maple Leafs right out of camp. 3 games played in the NHL this year. But unfortunately, Austin Matthews is a puck hog and won't pass the puck to anybody. That's why he's only got 6 goals this year and no assists, which led to Matthew Nyes having 0 points. So do I think the kid's a bust? No. I think he'll be fine. But just a little bit of, once again, it's hard. It's hard to put up points in the NHL. A lot of these guys, like I said, they're young. They're probably on the bottom 6 of these rosters. So see what he can do going forward for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Matthew Nyes, right now, probably the biggest chase in this product coming out for this year. Like I said, 5 years down the road, maybe it's somebody else, but we'll go from there. Guy that might be the chase, who knows? 225 in the checklist. Tyson Forester for the Philadelphia Flyers, right winger out of Alliston, Ontario. Funny enough, one of my friends actually went to see him playing the NHL this year. Spoiler for later on. He's like, this kid is good. Like he was pretty impressed by him. And he had no idea. He's not a card guy. Had no idea, and he just had taken a picture of the back of the jersey because he was only a couple rows back from the bench. And I said, "Oh, Forster." I said, "Did he look pretty good tonight?" He goes, "Man, he's impressive." So had no idea why I was asking or saying it, but 23rd overall, 6'2", 195 pound, 21 years old. So he does have that first round draft status, which once again I like when I'm looking at prospecting guys. 2022-23 played in the AHL, 66 games, had 20 goals, 28 assists for 48 points. So he's on that same level as a lot of these guys in his first year in the AHL. Had 59 penalty minutes. Got to the playoffs, 3 games played, 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. So not a super deep playoff run, obviously, for the Phantoms, but it was what it was. NHL last year, he played in 8 games. He had 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points, but he didn't have 8 penalty minutes. So he had 4 penalties in 8 games in the NHL. Started in the big club to start the year this year. Did not start in the season opener. Only has 1 game played, which was against Ottawa. He has 1 assist in that game and did have a penalty. Like I said, just didn't start in that opener. They got Bobby Brink and somebody else starting, and then they benched Bobby Brink and the other guy and put in Tyson Forester and another guy for game 2. So who knows? Maybe he ends up back in the AHL at some point. I think they're all kind of battling for those bottom 6 spots on the roster. So next up, one of the highest draft status guys in here, not the highest, but second highest, is number 228 in the checklist. It is Simon Edvinson for the Detroit Red Wings. D-man out of Kungsbacka, Sweden. 2021 6th overall. He is 6'6", 209 pounds, 20 years old. We'll get to him. I got a little spiel about him at the end of this. 2022-23 played in the AHL, had 52 games played, 5 goals, 22 assists for 27 points. Pretty good for a D-man in the AHL. And had 52 penalty minutes. NHL last year, he got up for 9 games, had 2 goals, 0 assists, and had 12 penalty minutes in those 9 games. Start the year, they sent him down to the AHL. He's in 2 games for the Grand Rapids Griffins. I'm pretty sure that's the name. 2 games played, 1 goal, 1 assist, and 4 penalty minutes. So he's got 2 penalties in 2 games. Only thing I'll say here, Mo Seider was a big chase in 21-22. Now you get Evanson. You get 2 D-men that you're trying to both have big hobby love for. I see it in Cale Makar and Bo Byram, right? How much high end hobby level can you have for two D-men with the same team? Well, we're about to find out, but that's just one thing I warn about is it's hard to have multiple people on the same team that everyone wants to chase and have values and everything else. D-men, it just gets a little harder. So I'll just put that out there. Is a high-end prospect, obviously, 6th overall, everything else. But just keep that in mind. Next up, another D-man, Wyatt Kaiser for the Chicago Blackhawks. Another D-man out of Andover, Minnesota. 2020 third round pick, 81st overall, 6 feet tall, 173 pounds, 21 years old. Like I said, luckily, out of the 50 young guns, there are definitely some older ones. I try to stick to the guys that are kind of more highly rated and on the younger end. That's why you're seeing all these guys are 19 to 21, 22, essentially, for pretty much all these guys. They still have a lot of room to grow, and they're still a prospect at this point. 2022-23, played for the University of Minnesota Duluth. 35 games. He had 5 goals, 18 assists for 23 points, and 48 penalty minutes in those 35 games. So decent amount of penalty minutes. NHL last year, he got up for 9 games, 0 goals, but did have 3 assists and 4 penalty minutes, which is kind of nice to see. He kind of knocked down those penalty minutes. Only had 2 penalties in 9 games, which is kind of nice. Is starting with the big club right out of the gate with Connor Bedard and all the hype that goes around that whole team this year, who just beat up on the Toronto Maple Leafs. And so far, he's played in all 4 games for the Chicago Blackhawks, but has 0 points. So once again, he's playing, he's on the team, he's D-man. That team's gonna have a whole lot of hype. If he can start doing a couple things there, maybe it gets exciting. Who knows? They do have Seth Jones there taking a lot of these power play minutes and everything else on D and everything else going on that team. So just keep an eye on that. But yeah, 229 Wyatt Kaiser for the Chicago Blackhawks. No Connor Bedard in this. Series 2. Once again, Series 2, Connor Bedard. It's like January, February. For everyone freaking out about Connor Bedard cards. Please stop buying MVP and Team Canada stuff for way too much money. You look at like Connor Bedard prices on all those guys. For all those cards. They are so much lower than what anybody is paying for a Connor Bedard. Connor McDavid can't sell for these crazy high prices. What makes you think that it's going to be sustainable for Connor Bedard? It's not. Putting that out there. Next up, I only got 5 guys left on this list. Thank you guys for listening. If you haven't yet, hit that like, hit the subscribe. Once again, going to have so many boxes of this. A full case, and probably more, knowing me, of this product to open up on the channel over the next week or so. So make sure you guys hit the like and hit the subscribe to see all of those and see all the big hits. Maybe I'm going to hit the 101 for Tyson Forester. Yeah, that's speaking into existence right here. Tyson Forester 101 gold, outburst gold is what I'm going to hit. So number 234, Sean Farrell for the Montreal Canadiens, left winger out of Hopkinton, Massachusetts. 2020 4th round pick, 124th overall, 5'9", 175 pounds, so smaller guy. What is with the Montreal with these small little guys? 21 years old, gonna be turning 22 later on this year on November 2nd. Another Harvard guy, just like Matthew Coronado. 34 games for Harvard last year, 20 goals, 33 assists for 53 points. Also joined US in the 2022 Olympics. Had 4 games played, 3 goals, 3 assists. 2023, got up for 6 whole games in the NHL with the Montreal Canadiens. Had 1 goal and 0 assists. Montreal was a dumpster fire. Everyone knows this at the end of the year. Seemed like anybody that stubbed their toe at one point just went on season-ending IR. You kind of saw it with everybody. So, and then this year he started down with Laval in the AHL. So far in 2 games played, he has 1 assist. So once again, this goes back to my whole thing. Caulfield's there. Juraj Slafkovsky's there. Nick Suzuki's there. Goulet, Wi-Fi, all these guys. It's hard to have a million guys hold hobby value long term, right? Even they got Kirby Dach. I know he just came out with that he has a significant injury, but it's hard to hold a huge hobby, value for so many guys. Just keep that in mind. That's all I'm going to say. Next up, the goalie that's actually probably going to start the most This year in the NHL, out of this whole group, number 237 is the Jedi Master himself, Devin Levi for the Buffalo Sabres. Goalie, Dillard des Olmo for Quebec. 2020 7th round pick. So just like Dustin Wolf, 7th round pick, 212th overall. Was originally drafted by the Florida Panthers. It was in part of that Sam Reinhart trade. 6 feet tall, 184 pounds, 21 years old, turns 22 on December 27th. So another one of these undersized goalies. You don't see a whole lot of, like, back in the day it was like 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". If you hit like 6'1" on a goalie, it was like, there's no way you're making the league. Now, he's obviously two of the biggest goalie prospects in the NHL are both under that, that are at that 6 foot mark. Played for Northeastern University last year in the 2022-23 season. Had 34 games played, 6 shutouts in those, 2.24 goals against average. Went 17, 12, and 5 with a .933 save percentage. Got up for 7 games in the NHL last year on this super hot, super trendy Buffalo Sabres team. Tage Thompson, Owen Power. You just go through the list. There's lots of guys over Rasmus Dahlin. A lot of guys over there. JJ Peterka. In 7 games, he had a 2.94 goals against average. Not great, but did go 5-2. So 5 wins, 2 losses, and had a .905 save percentage. I didn't watch a ton of Buffalo Sabres games. Sue me. Not really. Shout out Brett Favre. But this guy, like, maybe he's pulling the Grant Fuhr, right? Making the big saves at the right time. 5-2. A lot of hobby hype behind him and just the whole team over there for Buffalo. So far, he is playing in the NHL. He got the start. So unlike Wolf and unlike Askarov, he is playing in the NHL this year. 2 games played. He's got a 3.55 goals against average. He is 0 wins, 2 losses, and 0 shootout or overtime losses. And has a .881 save percentage. So not the start he's looking for. I'm sure he'll just a little Jedi meditation and he'll pop right back up and they'll get back on track there for the Buffalo Sabres. So 241 on the checklist. Another big. This is like 2021-22 all over again. We had Seider and Raymond. Now we got Evanson and Marco Kasper for the Detroit Red Wings. Center out of Innsbruck, Austria. 2022 8th overall pick. 6'1", 183 pounds. 19 years old. Once again, him and Owen Beck are the 2 youngest guys on this list. He played in the Swedish Hockey League last year. So the men's league, essentially it goes typically for skill level for hockey in the world. It goes NHL, KHL, Swedish Hockey League. That's essentially how it goes. He plays for Rogel, BK Angelholm. 52 games played over there. 8 goals, 15 assists for 23 points. But 72 penalty minutes for a forward. That's a lot. Playoffs, he had nine games played for them, 3 assists with 6 penalty minutes. So did knock down those penalty minutes some. 3 assists. So didn't have any goals in the playoffs for Sweden for the Angel home. Did get over for 1 game in the NHL last year. Once again, another sip of coffee over here. Check out the locker room, see the boys, all this stuff. Take a nice shower with everybody. 0 points in that 1 game played. They sent them down to the AHL to start the year. 2 games played, along with Simon Evanson, down the AHL. 0 points and has 4 penalty minutes. So he's got 2 penalties in 2 games in the AHL. So see what happens to him. He's an 8th overall pick last year. Does he get up this year? Who knows, right? Like, they have a lot of depth over there for Detroit. Andrew Kopp and Raymond and Alex DeBrincat, who's going crazy right now. But just go through the list. There's a lot of guys over there, right? So does he get a chance this year? Probably later once he gets some injuries and stuff. But as of right now, he's starting off in the AHL. Next up, another goalie. Last goalie, I swear. Number 247. It is Levy Mellan For the Ottawa Senators, goalie out of Oulu, Finland, 2020 third round pick, 71st overall. He's 6'2", 178 pounds, and 21 years old. That is kind of normally where you see goalies taken. Second, third, fourth round. That's kind of like your upper echelon goalies in a draft is typically where you see them taken in those second, third, fourth rounds. So nothing like crazy with him. Like I said, usually I like a first round draft status. It's more for offense, forwards and defensemen. Goalies, anywhere you're drafted, doesn't really matter. Who knows with them and their development. He kind of has a weird track record for the last few years. In Finland, when he got drafted, then 2021-22 after he got drafted, played in the OHL. 53 games played, 2 shutouts, 3.29 goals against average, went 31, 16, and 5, and had a .891 save percentage. Then last year, he goes back to Finland, plays for Liga Karpat, plays in Liga for Karpat, 42 games played, 2.055 goals against average with a .917 save percentage. So those stats went up. It's awesome. Seemed like he got better in a men's league in Finland. NHL comes back over, plays for Ottawa for 2 games last year. Has a hard time. That's fine. Once again, Ottawa wasn't great at the end of last year. 4.23 goals against average. He went 0-1-1 and had a .878 save percentage. Then this year, he's now with Belleville in the AHL. So that is 4 teams in 3 years that he's played for now. In 4 different leagues. 4 leagues that he's played for in 3 years. In 4 games played so far, he's a 2.06 goals against average. He's got 3 wins, 0 loss, 0 losses, and shootout losses. So I'm not sure where the 4th game came from, and has a .933 save percentage. So AHL, he's started off on the right foot. Maybe they just have a really good team down there. Who knows? But Belleville is kind of where he's maybe it's this change, right? Maybe this is him flipping that switch and becoming a full-time NHLer here soon. But yeah, Levi Mellan for the Ottawa Senators is the last goalie prospect for this. Probably the lowest end of the top, of the 4 here in the top 20. So next up and final young gun out of my top 20 for the 50 young guns in this checklist is number 248, Luke Hughes, brother of Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes and Jack Quinn. Inside joke for anybody that watches a lot of stuff. So brother of Jack and Quinn Hughes. He also got drafted by the New Jersey Devils with his brother Jack. He's a D-man out of Manchester, New Hampshire. He is a 2021 4th overall pick, so he's got the highest draft status out of anybody on this list. 6'2", 185 pounds, and he's 20 years old. Played for the University of Michigan last year. 39 games played, 10 goals, 38 assists for 48 points. That's a defenseman in college, university, whatever. 39 game plays, put up 48 points. That is crazy to hear. And had 26 penalty minutes. It's not terrible. I'm okay with that. 26 penalty minutes in 39 games. I'm fine with that. NHL last year got into 2 regular season games, 1 goal, 1 assist for 2 points. So a point per game last year. Playoffs, 3 games played in the playoffs for the Devils, 0 goals, 2 assists for 2 points. And did, like a lot of these guys, get a chance here to start in the NHL this year with his brother. He's played in all 3 games for the New Jersey Devils, and so far has 0 points. So it's early on for a lot of these guys. We're obviously making a lot of assumptions here early on in the season, but that's the top 20. So I'm excited for the product. Once again, no, there's no Bedard or Fantilli or Cooley or... They're coming, okay? They're going to be here. They're going to be in Series 2 in January, February, whenever that product comes out. But it'll be cool to see this product come out. Chase all these new young guns and see the new configuration, the new opening process of all these boxes. Like I said, it'll be a change for me. So it'll be exciting to do for sure. Like I said, hopefully you guys found this a little bit entertaining. I know it's super long. Once again, I appreciate you guys diving into all these guys with me, just in going through some of their stats, and maybe something helped you here as you're prospecting, or you're like, oh, I didn't even know about that guy. Like I didn't know about some of these guys until I really started diving into this and looking at some of these stats. So instead of you having to Google stuff and everything else, you could just listen to me for the last 45 minutes. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. Like I said, hit that like, hit the subscribe. I will have this up, the video for the first look of the product early on. I'm an hour ahead of everybody where I am. So it's 10 a.m. Here is when I'm going to go get the product, get my case, bring it back here, record the first box, do the first look, probably have it up before noon my time, which is probably like 11 a.m. Eastern. And like I said, we'll do a first look, hopefully hit some good stuff out of the first case that I open up. First of probably multiple, who knows. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this. Make sure you like, hit the subscribe. Check me out on Instagram. Links down below. Check out my eBay store as always. And for Eric from the bench, talk to you guys later. Bye guys.